Hi everybody. I'm going for a walk. It is going to rain in a little while and you can see the sky is kind of dark and it may actually start any moment, but I said to myself, okay, before it starts to rain I'm still going for a little walk, then I can sit the rest of the day inside. Sometimes I still go jogging also, not so often anymore, but probably in a little while I will do that more often again. And then I go on these little trails where there's all these rocks and you have to, and while I'm walking on this path here I show you, you can see it's very uneven with all these rocks. And this is pretty level, but still, you know, when you walk here on your sneakers, you kind of feel the unevenness of all these you know, river rocks that are underneath here this path. But I like that unevenness. I like that that necessity to balance yourself. Yeah, and yeah, that's just an odd appreciation that I have for unevenness. Although I like balance too, you know, I mean, don't get me wrong. But I particularly like how it all comes together, you know, because balance and unevenness kind of goes together. And so I like to go over these rocky paths because that is how I find my balance. And when I jog on these paths, I go really slow, you know. It's almost like I kind of go like this. This is kind of my pace. Yeah, I can actually do a little bit of jogging right now. No, not today. I just had breakfast and had a delicious sandwich somewhere, and now I'm walking here by myself. I don't have much to say. I like to be here. No, I don't know if you can see it. Oh yeah, the creek runs right next to this path. And sometimes I just go really near the creek. I kind of sit in between the rocks, in the shade of the tree. Yes, look at that. Oh. Yeah, I see when I go to the gym, I see people being on their phone all the time. I don't have my phone with me all the time, but I see many people always being on their phone, and I see also women oftentimes making selfies of themselves, and you know, they post that on their social media, and I understand, you know, that it is in a sense an attempt to to sort of just, show the world that this is who I am. This is, here, look, I look like this, or I can say this, or I've been there, I've experienced this. And it is an attempt to sort of share with other people, what your life is like. Look what a beautiful site this is. I love this site. Yeah. And so, and I do, of course, the same, but I do a little extra. What do I do extra? Well, in my case, I talk about embodied language. And these people who just do their social media, they don't have embodied language. And they have that infatuation with social media, because they don't have embodied language. I'm not infatuated with social media. I am infatuated with embodied language. I'm addicted to embodied language. I don't mind admitting it. This is my life. Embodied language is my life, and the rest doesn't matter to me. And so, if you cannot have real interaction, if you cannot have real communication, if you cannot have embodied language, you try to fill that hole in your life in one way or another. And people have many ways to fill that hole, and people do all kinds of things to sort of just fill up their own emptiness. And the emptiness that they feel is the emptiness that comes with their conditioning of disembodied language. And unless that conditioning stops, unless that conditioning is counteracted, they continue to feel even more empty. And no matter how successful they are in filling that hole, that hole is just getting bigger, and their emptiness is getting bigger. And no matter how much they deny their emptiness, because they just keep busy, they keep neurotically busy with all sorts of stuff, their lives just get more and more out of control, because they do all these things to not feel certain things, to not become aware of certain things, to not talk about certain things, and then supposedly these things, they don't exist or they don't matter. Well, the exact opposite is true. These things just become more and more important, and the less capable we are to attend to ourselves, the more of a problem it becomes, and the more we seek to deny that problem, and that is also increasing the problem. It's like, in America they have a good word for that. It's a clusterfuck. It's like one big freaking mess. And so we all find our bed as we make it. And I have no problems at all in my life. And you would probably say, like, how's that possible? Well, it is possible, because I live my life which is based on my embodied language. And that's just how it is. Shall we carry on walking? I am going to walk. And I just continue with this regardless of whether you join me or not, or whether people join me or not. Oh, look, there's a beautiful black and white duck sitting there in the creek. Here, I'll show you. It is sitting there near the rocks. Do you see it? Sometimes these ducks, they come out of the sky and they land here in the creek. Here's a big puddle because it has rained a lot. But isn't that a beautiful duck? I haven't seen that one before. Beautiful. I've seen in the past I've seen. Oh, look, there's another one sitting there. Do you see? It is a couple. It is a couple. Do you see that other one, the brown one, sitting on that rock? They are, they are, they're coming together here. I've seen them land here together. They were flying through the sky first, and then I see them land here in the creek, and then beautiful. I've never seen ducks like this before. They're beautiful. Anyway, and then they lay eggs somewhere in the bushes, and they have little chicks, and you see them swimming through the creek. What a beautiful place to have a family. I was just writing about that this morning, about family, and about how it was necessary for me to to basically decide that I could not anymore continue trying to have contact with my family. I come from a family of 6 children. I'm one of 6. I'm the 3rd child. So I've got 2 older sisters and 2 younger brothers and 1 younger sister. But none of them, and also not my parents, have any interest in having embodied language with me. And for a long time, that was really very difficult for me, because I felt that I did something wrong, that I couldn't share that with them, that I couldn't have that with them, and I felt like I should be able to have that with them, but it never happened. And as long as I wanted that with them, I was only creating problems for myself. And so at some point I had to decide to stop trying, and that's already quite some years ago now. And my life only began to improve after I did that. And I could have never believed before that I would do something like that, you know. That was never anything I considered doing, but I had to do it. It was difficult, but I'm telling you, because it just illustrates the situation with regard to embodied language. And in this case, it is the situation pertaining to my family, the family that I grew up with. If you want to have what I have, if you want to have embodied language that continues, and if you want to be happy with yourself, and you gotta have language that fits with that, right? If you do not have the language that fits with that, that happiness is not going to last. It is, in fact, your way of using language which will make it go away. And that disembodied language which makes your happiness go away is language in which you are always busy with others. And I was also always busy with others, with my family, or with other people who I wanted to have embodied language with. But as I wrote today in that piece on my blog, which you can also listen to, you can also you can also read it. I had to somehow learn or acknowledge that the other who I wanted to have embodied language with, they did not join me. My family did not join me. The people I knew did not join me. Yes, my wife, who I met while I didn't know about, or while I was still in the process of discovering this, but we met in a therapy group, and I also, of course, wanted my wife to know about this, and I wanted to talk with her about this, and we had many arguments, you know. But somehow, because we worked things out, or I worked things out, I was able to realize, like, wow, there is a way of talking which is not problematic, which is not a fight, which is not a struggle. And so that is what made our relationship so good. And it still does after all these years. And then I began to develop this whole notion of my embodied language, which is so different from our disembodied language. And then it became very clear that nobody is having embodied language. Nobody wants to have embodied language. Only one person, besides my wife, only one person was herself also totally interested in it. My dear friend Annemiek from the Netherlands. She's a little bit older than me. I'm 65 years old. And she kind of got in touch with me after we had not spoken with each other for something like 25 years or so. And then we started talking with each other. And then we were able to have embodied language with each other. She totally gets it. And now her and I have had so much embodied language with each other that we both have agreed that we have achieved our language enlightenment. Our language enlightenment, yeah. That's our ongoing embodied language. It's so beautiful. And yet we are both astonished. We are both, in many ways, also disappointed, of course. We have struggled both with this, that nobody wants this. But in spite of our struggle, and we had already both gone through so much struggle on our own before we became aware of all of this. So we had already overcome so much of our own struggle, our own trauma, that although the habit is to be busy with other people, but we both knew that was not where it was at with our embodied language. And so we both have actually let each other know that it's okay to not be busy anymore with the other. And it's okay to have embodied language for yourself. And so when you have embodied language for yourself, that is when you acquire, or then you don't acquire it. You have always had it, but you never had the language to express it. But then you kind of realize, like, oh, this is who I really am. This is your language enlightenment. Now your language fits with your experience. And it's just so beautiful that it just keeps going. You keep developing, you keep feeling new. You feel like every time you speak, every time you participate in your language, you use your language consciously. You say new things. You are aware of new things. You experience new things. You feel new. And this renewal, that is your language enlightenment, that it keeps renewing itself, that you feel always present and that you always feel happy. Look at that. That's my shadow. And this is the real me. You know, sometimes they say that, oh yeah, he was only a shadow of himself. Not me. I am truly myself. Anything less wouldn't do for me. And yes, it has cost me. It has had its problems to achieve that or to figure that out. but I figured it out, and Annemiek has figured it out too. And the question is, are you going to figure it out? Probably not, because neither I or her have heard anything from you. Oh, here comes somebody with a mowing machine. I'm walking over the golf course here. This is one of the bridges here. There's a golf course. Here. Let me just get out of the way here. So yeah. All right. You know, I was once myself working on a golf course, and I was also mowing the green and the apron, you know, the golf course. Yeah, this is the golf course here. And I would also, you know, the place where people where they tee off, that's this here. I would also set the holes. You know, the hole is on the green, and you have a special tool for that to take out a piece of earth and put in that little cup. Oh, I'm so glad that I'm not working there anymore. But no, I was saying, and I just want to sort of just finish what I was saying about that of course we have both been busy with other people, and everybody is busy with other people, and in our disembodied language we remain busy with other people. But in our embodied language, look at that, how beautiful. This is one of my favorite paths here. When you are having embodied language, you're busy with yourself, and you can just stay with yourself. And it is so wonderful that you can have language just for yourself. That you hear your own sound, and that you feel good about your sound, you feel good about what you say, you feel good about your language. Your language is working for you. Well, that is what I call language enlightenment. Yeah. And you can look at it from all sides, just like I do, you know. Like you can just really verify it. And of course, I couldn't believe it in the beginning that this is possible, you know. And so you kind of switch back and forth between disembodied language and embodied language. But you do that a couple of times and you figure out, like, wow, so it just really continues. And you are doing it. Morning. Yeah, it's only 23 minutes. I can talk a little further. I like to make long videos, you know. You just really getting into it. And since I have nothing better to do, I just like doing this. Here, look how beautiful these purple flowers. Isn't that nice? Springtime in Chico. You can do this too. You can just take that phone of yours and hold it in front of you. Start talking. Start talking and start listening to yourself. And start letting yourself know what you don't like and what you like. And then when you have said to yourself what you don't like, you begin to stop saying to yourself what you don't like, and you will continue saying what you like. And then you will continue with the sound that you like to hear. It's just as simple as that. And so your language enlightenment wants you to speak with the sound that fits with you. The sound that, oh, let's walk to the creek here. This is a nice little trail that goes to the creek. Sit there for a little while. Oh yeah. Oh, look at that. So nice. Yeah. Yeah, I see another pair of ducks here. Oh, I scared them, sorry. I didn't know you were sitting there. They have to swim in against the current. Look at that, they're floating. Now yeah, they'll find their way, you know. It happens. This is so wonderful to be here. Going to sit here for a little bit. Yeah. Oh, this was the one last point that I want to make about leaving others, because that was kind of the theme which I addressed in my writing. I was not prepared initially to admit how few people are open to this. And I had hoped that it was not that more people would be open to it. That's why I studied psychology. I studied psychology because I assumed, like, well, you know, psychologists, therapists, they must be open to this, but they're not. I've studied psychology for many years. I've taught psychology for many years. I worked in psychology for many years. Nobody was interested. Nobody. Yeah, maybe once in a while, somebody a little bit, but no, nobody had, you know, the way Annemiek and I have ongoing embodied language with each other, nobody. The way my wife and I live our lives based on our embodied language, nobody, no. And somehow I just couldn't believe it. I just didn't want to, I didn't want to accept it. I didn't want to acknowledge that it is really like that. Somehow you just don't want to believe it, that you're the only one, or maybe with my wife and with Annemiek, the only 3 people in the whole world. And I did so many things, you know. I tried to reach people, I have given seminars, I've given many seminars. I've given many lectures, I've given many explanations, I've given many sessions. I have contacted people, I've tried to tell them about my writing, tell them about my Facebook, tell them, yeah, that's when I was still on Facebook back in the days. Tell them about my blog, and even today, you know, tell them about my YouTube channel. And nobody, just nobody ever reacts, nobody ever says anything about, what is this? Why are you, what? I want to, I mean, the reaction that I ought to be having, in my opinion, I'm just going to say it. The reaction which I should be having is, of course, hey, Maximus, I want to have embodied language with you. Of course. Why would I want anything else? I don't want your stupid, dumb, idiotic, unintelligent disembodied language. I don't want that. I'm sick and tired of it. The whole world is going to hell because of your stupid way of dealing with language. And you don't even want to acknowledge? What a coward you are. What a complicit person you are. Yeah, you should feel guilty, or you should feel bad about the fact that you're not what you could be with your disembodied language. Your problems are just accumulating, and the mess that you create in your life is just continuing and increasing because of the way you deal with language. So yeah, I just could not accept it. I could not believe it. That people are just so thick, so defensive, so entrenched in their conditioning that they cannot be open to this. They cannot admit that I know something which they don't. That's another thing. They are so arrogant, they are so full of themselves that they already know this. They don't. I do. Annemiek knows it. My wife Bonnie knows it. But nobody comes to us and says, oh, your way of dealing with things, your way of dealing with language, that's something I would like to be more involved in. That's the situation of this world. That's where it stands with your unconsciousness due to the way you deal with your language, due to your disembodied language. I didn't make this up. I didn't invent this. I just discovered this. And to this very day, I am baffled. But am I busy with you? Am I still concerned about other people who don't want this? No. I'm 65 years old. I've been busy with you for the biggest part of my life. I'm no longer busy with you. You can go to hell if you want that. You are already in hell. Now, okay, whatever. I am having a great time. And that's why I make this video. Not for you. I do it for myself. I write it for myself. I make this video for myself because I enjoy doing this. Yeah, it's very selfish. And if it wasn't for my selfishness, I couldn't have this. Yeah. This is my language enlightenment.